Today we'd like to welcome back to the podcast my friend Stephen Crawford. Stephen is a Director of Alignment and Accountability Programs and a Senior Consultant at McGhee Productivity Solutions. McGhee Productivity Solutions, all the big words every time, is a consulting firm that supports companies of all sizes, from Fortune 500 firms to small businesses, in creating cultures of productivity. We love it. Cultures of productivity. Centered around their 5 disciplines of productivity, McGhee Productivity Solutions programs include one-on-one coaching, training, and change management consulting. I'm going to ask you about what that means. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's awesome to be back with you.
Thank you so much for coming back. We appreciate it.
I'll come back as often as you invite me to come back. I love
okay,
it.
good, because we got more. We got more in the works for you. We're just talking about potentially having you do a Q&A with us, since you have so much knowledge around productivity, and we can have people ask us questions.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
All right, so in the works, coming up.
Cool.
Yes, awesome. So since you were last here, you've been busy traveling.
Yes.
What has been your favorite destination lately?
The last one I was at was Stuttgart, Germany, and I really love it there. The people are great, first of all, and it's really not that hard to get to. Whereas some of the places I travel to is much longer. When you go to China or India, there's a much longer flight and you got a lot more different connectors. Getting there is nice and easy. So that's a simple international travel. Plus, I love the people there. I've been out there 3 times for the same client. I'll be going back again later this year, and I just really enjoy it. So of the recent trips, I would say that's the ones I like the most.
I hear they eat a lot of sausage in Germany.
They do have sausage there, yes. I temper it pretty well.
You're
the Wiener Schnitzel is my downfall, of course.
So a lot of that.
I like that.
That's awesome. Is that your favorite client to visit too right now?
Well, they're the client that I do the most travel for. So kind of by default, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I wanted to pick your brain a little today. So the last time you were here, you talked a lot about the weekly review as your favorite productivity tool. So I just wanted to get a quick review on how that works. So anybody that's listening to this one that didn't listen to your last podcast, we'll also link your last podcast down in the description box so people can, get the whole deal on that. But
right.
If you could just give me a quick review on the weekly review.
So the weekly review is set up for you to do. I do mine on Friday afternoons. You should really do them at a time that works best for you. So not necessarily Friday afternoon. If your mind is set up that the end of your week is Wednesday, doing them on Wednesday. But the key is that you calendar an hour for yourself, and you stick with that time. If you have to move it around a little bit, that's fine, but just don't give up that time. Because the benefit of the weekly review is it gets you refocused. It allows you to look back at the previous week, recognize the things that you did well. Give yourself a pat on the back for the stuff that you won with, right? You got to recognize those victories. That's important. But you're also looking back and saying, what did I not accomplish that I set out to do last week? And this isn't to beat ourselves up. This is so that we can course correct on our own. It's personal accountability. So if you had certain projects that you were meaning to get done last week and you did not get them done, you ask yourself why. And then you learn from that, and you use that to do the next part of the weekly review, which is to set your calendar for the next week. So you're setting your calendar up for the next week in advance. And if you've learned that you're not scheduling enough time for sales time, or you're not scheduling enough time for projects, you're allowing too much interruptions or distractions to pull you away from things, you're going to use that information to help you plan your time for the next week. And the key is that you're getting the most important things on your calendar first. Those big rocks, the Stephen Covey big rock story, right?
Big stuff.
You're getting the most important things on there first, important personally and professionally. Get them on your calendar. And then you fill in the gaps with the stuff that's less important. If you do that, and you can constantly do that cycle of doing those weekly reviews, you're constantly learning from what's not working for you and course correcting so that you're getting more and more productive. Additionally, you're taking some time to do some strategic planning. This is your opportunity to look at your goals for the year, your opportunity to look at the projects that you have to make sure that you're on track with all those things. And what I find in working with executives one-on-one is that is the thing they're lacking most, is that strategic planning time. They're getting pulled in multiple different directions. She's got people coming in her office, or he's got, budget agendas that are really pressing, a lot of stress, and the first thing that they give up is the stuff that's personal. And unfortunately, if you do that, you're setting yourself up for failure because you're not keeping that strategic time and that self-course correcting time.
Okay, so I have my own problem I need you to solve. So I always find that my Mondays are like this disaster area of like, of just, you know, fires. Like, this is on fire, this person needs help with this, or like, because everybody tends to like be doing stuff on Mondays.
Right.
So do you think if I was doing that on Friday, where I was like, this is what I have to be doing on Monday? Because it seems to like, those are just the days that just completely blow up.
So a lot of times,
calendar blow up time.
Yeah, calendar blow up time. You know, there's a lot of roles out there where things aren't as cut and dry, and people don't have as much control over their calendar as I enjoy. So there's there's realism out there when you're working with clients that have urgent issues. Tax season for you, there's going to be people calling you all the time with 911 type items, right? So what I would do, if Monday tends to be one of those days, is I would pick one or two initiatives, things that you really want to try to accomplish on Monday, and get those on your calendar. And then I would calendar half-hour slots for hold for urgent issues or 911 items, whatever you want to call them. And get your calendar filled up with that. And then the rest of your week, get more strategic stuff on your calendar. Then what happens is when you come in on Monday, say it's 9 o'clock, and you're getting ready to work on this project that you have on there, one of those initiatives that you said you wanted to do, but you get a 911 call from a customer, all you do is slide those things around on your calendar.
Okay.
So you're still going to have that time to work on your initiative. You just renegotiated to do it later, but you're not losing that time because you accounted for that 911 time.
I like that.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you didn't account for that time, you just filled your calendar up with stuff you wanted to get done, something's going to get lost.
Exactly.
Because that 911 thing came in. So here you accounted for it, you're just sliding things around on your calendar. And your rhythm of business, you know, for you, there's even more of it when it's seasonal. So you know what your seasons are. You have the 2 seasons, right? The personal tax season and then kind of the one later in the year.
Kind of work. So it's all a season.
So at those times, you know, you might have to, you know, give up a little bit of the strategic projects that you're working on. Less time on those, more time for reactive type work, but then be mindful because you're tracking your goals and your projects that as the season winds down, you're going to have to ramp that up in order to keep your annual objectives in play.
That's really helpful because I do find like Monday mornings, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get some stuff done. I'm going to do this and this and this and this, and then none of that stuff happens. But then usually by like Thursday, Friday are usually my in-office days. I am not going anywhere. I don't have appointments. I try to keep appointments out of those 2 days.
Great.
Those are like my crank out days. That's the day where I finish every project on my list and stuff like that. So that's really, really helpful. It's because those Mondays are just like
but that's a good approach. So you just know what your rhythm of business is.
Yeah, well, and I've kind of
and what works for you.
And I've kind of done that on purpose too.
And you know, you can even get down to the next level of detail on that. So if you know yourself and you know that by 4 o'clock in the afternoon you're kind of done dealing with people, right? You're just kind of like, listen, that's my time to put my head down and work. I don't want to talk to anybody. Then you start learning not to schedule calls after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? Or if you're much sharper in the morning, that's when you do your best critical thinking. That's when you move your projects and you work on those early in the morning so that you can be laser focused, you can be really sharp. So it goes beyond just the days that you're calendaring, but really starting to be smart about when you're going to get your best work done for the type of work you're doing.
That makes sense.
So a lot of for me, you know, my tactical type stuff, you know, writing contracts, that kind of thing, I'll do all that stuff late in the afternoon because if there's distractions of the kids coming home or something like that, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of rote. It's just work, right? It's not really a lot of thought. But the calls and the strategic stuff, I want that uninterrupted time. So I do that at critical times in the day that works for my rhythm of business.
That's really helpful. And because I get up so early, like by 4, I'm usually done.
Yeah.
Because I'm up at, 5:30 to go work out and stuff like that. So I only have so many like awake hours that work for me. So by 4 or 5, I'm done anyway. Yeah. And the kids are coming home and, we got stuff we got to do in the evening. So okay, that's really helpful.
That's
Thank
good.
you. Awesome. We're just going to solve my problems.
Hey, therapy session.
Yes, I love it.
JEOK therapy.
It's my turn to ask people questions. So in your in the bio, we mentioned the 5 disciplines. What are the 5 disciplines?
So McGhee Productivity Solutions, we've had this kind of mantra for a long time, but we really formalized it as a strategy for our clients in this last year. And we firmly believe that for an organization to be fully productive and have a culture of productivity, they need to pay attention to these 5 disciplines that we've come up with for a culture of productivity. And it's alignment, accountability, workflow management, digital fluency, and well-being. And those 5 disciplines, inside of those, we have programs, consulting programs and training programs inside of each one of those to support our clients. So, for example, if I'm doing a Take Back Your Life personal productivity program for a client, that falls under workflow management. When I'm having conversations with that client, they understand that this is where we're attacking this piece of it, so to speak, right, with the Take Back Your Life stuff. But it opens up for them the scope to see where are the other areas in the organization that we can help them with, or they have other people that help them, or they do a good job on their own. But just having that mindset of addressing all 5 of those disciplines, because you can have a bunch of individuals who are awesome at personal productivity, but if they're not aligned with the company goals, if they don't have a good approach to accountability for themselves and their team, their personal productivity is not getting the highest and best use, right? Yeah. So that's why the culture of productivity is the key, and it's organizationally wide.
Awesome. Is this a promotion for you, the Director of Alignment and Accountability?
Yeah, that is a new title since the last time we met.
I love it.
Yeah.
So what are you overseeing right now?
So the way that we're set up is we have consultants, and certain consultants are certified in certain programs. So, for example, I can deliver just about any program that we have, but there's other consultants that maybe they're only certified in Take Back Your Life and driving productivity through Microsoft Teams. And then other ones might be certified in cultivating accountability and team accountability programs and things like that. Well, since we don't have them reporting to individual leaders, we have program leaders. So I'm the program leader for the alignment and accountability program. So all the programs that roll underneath there, like the strategic team planning, alignment program, the cultivating accountability program, and so forth, the executive one-on-one coaching, I'm responsible for those programs. So what that means is I'm responsible for the content. I'm responsible for certifying consultants to be able to deliver that content, and then I help them in the sales process.
That's
so
really cool.
the pricing and coming up with all the logistics and stuff like that for a larger engagement, because it's not a training on those.
Yes.
It's those could be 6-month engagements.
Absolutely.
For cultivating accountability or doing a strategic team plan for an organization that without help they wouldn't be able to do. So it gives them more tools because they have a leader of those programs.
That's really cool.
One of my colleagues, Jen Wilmuth, is the director for the workflow management stuff. So the Take Back Your Life content all rolls up through her. The team productivity program rolls up through her. So she owns that content and getting people certified.
That's awesome.
So, for example, she certified me in Take Back Your Life and in the team productivity program.
Awesome. So you guys are kind of worked with, what works for best for your personalities and things like that. She's probably super process oriented.
Yeah, organizational skill set, and then your background. So I came from 20 years as an executive in large firms. So I lived that life.
Yeah.
So the executive coaching piece comes to me naturally, and I love doing it. And then the change management work that we do to larger programs, my skill set and background lends to very well to me leading that.
Awesome.
Whereas, we have other people that have skill sets in the well-being area, for example, which is awesome. And they have all that energy and all that skill set that I'm just in awe of. And that's not the skill set I'm in. The softer stuff. Yeah. As you can tell. I'm kind of just like a driver, right?
Yeah, we just do the things. Let's do it.
Just get her done.
Let's do it. So what is your current favorite program to deliver?
It's definitely the executive one-on-one experience. Not only because I've felt that pain before, but the change that happens in that process is phenomenal. The feedback I get from my clients is constantly like this. Way exceeded what I thought it was going to be. It went so much deeper. I had one gentleman credit me for saving his marriage.
Oh, wow.
Now, I'm not going to take credit for that, but because he did the work. But, there's a lot of things that are impactful beyond the scope of personal productivity that we get into in an executive one-on-one. Personal issues come up sometimes, but You know, it could be once you get through the personal productivity piece, how are you communicating with your team? Is that effective? You know, your leadership style, how you're working with other leaders in your organization. What are your goals and aspirations inside of this firm or elsewhere? And you know, what are you doing to get yourself in the best position for that? It goes a lot deeper than just the productivity piece. The productivity piece is key to get that time back, that 2 hours a day of productivity they win back, and get their stuff in order, so to speak. I'm glad I said stuff.
Okay.
But
you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, okay. This is a cable program, right?
Yeah, it's really good.
But you know, as you're going through that process, a good coach is a good listener,
right?
And I hear a lot of opportunities for things where there might be something that we can help with, and it's so organic. You don't go in with an agenda on these things other than the productivity piece of it. The rest of it just happens as it happens, and it's awesome. And it's more about me really asking a lot of questions and listening and really helping them come up with solutions, and then just helping them implement them.
That's really awesome. So that's your favorite one to deliver because of the change you see in people?
Because it's more intimate. It's one-on-one. You know, I love doing the trainings and the other stuff too, the change management stuff, but that's all with a big group of people. And there's a lot of change that happens there and a lot of impact, which is great. But there's something about that one-on-one that just really just hits me in the heart.
Because you get to see as much change as possible.
Yeah, and it's personally fulfilling. You know enough about me to know that through my church and in my personal life, I do a lot of mentoring and stuff like that as well. And that has served me well in this executive coaching piece. And the executive coaching has served me well in the mentoring that I do through my church and so forth. And I just get a lot out of that. I think that's the best way for me to give back to people and to be of service to people. And that's why it's my favorite. Yeah, it's in my DNA. It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Which is why you know a ton of people and you have a ton of amazing people in your life because of that mentoring piece.
Surround yourself with great people, for sure.
Anything going on with McGhee Productivity you can talk about? Anything in the works that you guys are creating?
There's a lot of things happening. So the last time I was here, I talked a little bit about, I think I just scratched the surface that we're moving into more of the digital learning piece. That is continuing to evolve.
That's awesome.
We've got a lot more content on our McGhee learning system. That's accessed a couple different ways. So graduates of our programs, they get onto that system for typically 90 days as part of the program, which has continual education for them and all kinds of stuff. But we're at the point now where we're ready to monetize that and push that out publicly where people can go on and they can take an online Take Back Your Life class.
Oh, that's
self-paced.
awesome.
They can do that in both, the Outlook platform or in the G Suite platform. They can go on there and get.
You guys added G Suite.
Yeah, we're working on that. Right now, it's fully done in Spanish, believe it or not, but not in English.
Well, I will just have to take the Spanish one.
So that can brush up your Spanish skills.
I'd probably be okay with that.
But the content that we have, there is a gentleman named Joel who joined our team early last year who's really been fantastic with that. He's just been heads down, really just interviewing consultants, looking at our content, breaking it apart, and then working with Jennifer, who's the director for those workflow management stuff. They're just really getting good stuff in there. Videos, self-paced training, quick tips. There's another term for one of them that is that's escaping me, but it's basically little things you can click on. Like if you say, "Man, I just forgot how to color code," you can click on a little 90-second video and it'll walk you right through all that.
Oh, that's awesome.
So little snippets like that as well. So that's continuing to evolve. I think by the end of Q2, it'll be fully loaded as far as, ready for prime time for everyone to be out there. Yeah, which is really exciting because not only for our existing clients who maybe have put their entire, information worker workforce through programs for training, they can continue to support them with this. But also it could be an inroad into us for people that are just looking for specific little trainings. They go to that, they see that, and they get great value from it. They learn about our other programs, and it becomes a business development tool as well.
I'm just stoked about the G Suite.
Yeah.
I have a ton of clients that use we use G Suite. We have a ton of clients on G Suite, and I can't. When I originally did the training with you, I was like, this is Microsoft. And I tried to use Outlook for a while, and I was like, nope, gotta go back to G
Well, the
Suite.
concepts, are universal.
They are.
They're really not specific to any kind of technology, but it's the shortcuts, the settings, and things like that. How you do that in different modems, and kind of. There's a lot of smaller businesses that use G Suite, but what I found in South America, in the LATAM countries, there's a lot of that. That's why we have it in Spanish. One of our colleagues lives down there, and she translated everything into that to be able to deliver for them.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that's kind of what spurred it. We do that all the time. A client needs something specific, we'll customize it, and then sometimes it becomes a program of its own.
I love it. Yeah, I'm stoked about that one because I love G Suite, and I can't wait to, I have applied some of the things that I've learned from you to do that in G Suite, but I know I'm probably missing a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
A ton of other options. And
the concepts and methodologies around calendaring, using the 4Ds for email, your reference system and all that, technology agnostic.
That's all the same, yeah.
But it'd be nice for G Suite users to get some of the benefits that our Outlook users get by using things like quick parts and quick steps and templates and things like that. So that's what's being included into the G Suite.
And G Suite's been adding all that stuff too.
Yeah.
Right now it's got like a quick response option. I've turned that on, and a lot of the time it's exactly what I would say, and I'm like, yes, do that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, somebody just responded to your emails for you. That's
thank
awesome.
you, little robot.
Yes.
I really appreciate this. It makes my life easier.
It reminds me of a story. I was doing a coaching for a guy one time, and we were trying to figure out what rules to set up for his email. And, it was easy to pick the stuff that was junk and just create rules to automatically put that to junk. And what things do you think you might need to read, but it's not urgent, so maybe you put them in a read folder and then schedule time once a week to read that folder. We're really helping him out with it. And, I thought, wow, man, he's going to love this. This is great. And he, at the end of it, said, wow, this is awesome. But he goes, I just have a question. Can I just create a rule that says everything that comes to my inbox goes to deleted items? I said, you could, but I don't know how much longer you'd have your job if you did that. But it just reminded me of that when you said that the autoresponder. I'm like, wow, pretty much can just have robots do everything for me.
Delete everything. That'd be great.
That would be great.
Nick and I went to Mexico back in November, and I was actually reading about the ways people deal with, all like their barrage of emails when they get back. And I was reading that somebody would just delete absolutely everything and then just send an email to everybody and be like, if you sent me an email and it was important, just resend it for me. Something happened to them or whatever. Right. And he'd get like 5 emails instead of like, the 20 or whatever, because
that's
people
an approach.
Figured it out.
Yeah,
right?
That's an approach. I wouldn't recommend it.
I was like, that's really fascinating. That's not something I would personally do, but I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I take a little different approach to that, but I do talk about that when you go on PTO. The night before you come back, you're stressing because you're going to have 10,000 emails. The first thing you should do is run the cleanup tool, because that's going to take those chain emails and reduce those out for you. Typically, you get about a 12% reduction just by doing that. And then I quickly will sort it by subject and then see what things in there I can get rid of easily. Then I'll sort it by who it's from and see what I can get rid of easily there. So I mass delete stuff quickly by sorting like that. Then what's left... When you sort it back by date again, now you can go through and start to process your email using the 4Ds. Okay, is this something that is deletable? Delete. Is it action? Respond if I can do it less than 2 minutes, or create a task out of it. Right? Is this something somebody else should be doing? Then I'm going to delegate it. Right? Send it to somebody else.
If they haven't already replied, I have to delegate it.
Yeah. The reason the other approach, I know it was kind of in jest, but to me, while that might be good for you and your organization, you're creating more work for somebody else.
Right.
And really, some of that stuff you deleted might have been referenceable stuff that you wanted to see, and nobody's going to send that back to you again.
Right. I just find it.
Because it came from a different source than your org.
Yeah, and what I've done in G Suite is they have the priority inbox situation, and so I'm really, really careful about I inbox 0 my priority stuff. Everything else just. I just hide it, basically. It becomes
basically another folder, a reference folder.
Yeah, I just don't even look at it, really, unless I feel like, or I'll just review it real quick to make sure that something that should have been priority is not in there, and then I just pretend like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, and as you do that, when you do take time, sometime just maybe you're an hour a month, you say, I'm going to go back there and look at that non-priority stuff, and you can start to create rules and say, I don't even want this showing up. I don't need an email from LinkedIn saying that, Jamie accepted my request. I'll see that when I'm on LinkedIn, right? So LinkedIn emails, get rid of those, right? Or whatever it is. So that'll reduce that. And then ultimately you get yourself to a point where you have very few emails even going over there.
Yeah.
Because psychologically there's still a stress around, even though you think you're hiding it and there's nothing there, it's still there. And you still know. And it can create a little bit of stress around what am I leaving out? What am I not responding to? What am I missing out on? Is there some kind of an announcement that I really wanted to see?
Most of it's just text.
It is.
Just newsletters.
Yeah, junk stuff, right?
Yeah, and a lot of it's like I've also like gone through and unsubscribed. Like I'm
brilliant.
This is my new thing this year is to just unsubscribe to anything I don't ever actually open. So CPA letter daily. Okay, well I actually signed up for that one, so I'll hold out. I'll hold on to those if I need to reference them later. I just have so many people in my life that are sending like daily stuff, and I'm like, I love you very much, but I need you to stop sending. I can't.
Right.
It's not personal.
Well, that's good. That's setting expectations. That's part of how you manage interruptions is being clear with people the interruptions that you will allow and that you won't allow.
Yeah.
And when in the day you're going to be open to them and when you're not.
Yeah.
Right. So if you set expectations with people, that's one of the things that gets missed the most in larger organizations. Easier for small business. You got a team of 5 or 6 people. You can kind of keep that, kind of tight and people understand. But when you're in a large organization that's cross-functioning between, different departments and stuff like that, it's a little harder to do. But you can do it, and the better you get at setting those expectations, the more time you'll free up for yourself.
Yeah. I have found that when I stopped responding immediately to people's emails, like we always respond between 24 and 48 hours. Like that is company policy because we are responsive.
Right.
That doesn't mean I need to be immediately responsive.
Right. Which would be reactive.
Which would be reactive.
We talked about that last time.
And so, I found that people really do know that I probably check it. I'm not on my email all day because I am trying to work on stuff. And very rarely does anybody have an issue or they know that I'm just not in my inbox.
Exactly. Again, if you're setting expectations, email response time is 24 hours, then live that.
Yeah,
when you process your email, that's when you respond. But people that immediately respond all the time, they're creating a false expectation for people that they'll do that. So then the next time they send an email and you don't respond right away, they're calling you saying, "Hey, did you get my email?" Right?
Yeah.
So how much intrusive is that?
It's
right?
very intrusive.
It's a big interruption. So set the expectation and then live by that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I learned real quick to just do it during work hours anyway. I don't respond to emails on the weekends. I rarely even check them on the weekends unless I'm waiting for something and I'm working on it.
Right.
I'm not even in my inbox.
And that's good, and everybody's going to have a little bit of a different approach to that and what works for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, I've had a colleague before ask me, Steve, I saw that you sent this email at 8:30 at night. You're not really representing the work-life balance and the synergy that we're talking about. I'm like, actually, I am. I said, because if you cared to look at my calendar, what you would see that while I did start at 6 in the morning, you'll see that I went to gym at noon for an hour and a half. You see I picked up my daughter at 3 o'clock and I made my family for my dinner at 6. So even though I was sending that email at 8:30, if you looked at my calendar, you saw I put in a 10-hour day.
Right.
I wasn't working 16 hours. Okay, so how I get my synergy is by some days having that flexibility in the day where I can do things differently. And I chose to process my email later at night, that night, to make it work on my calendar.
Right, but that was on purpose.
Yeah, it was on purpose, and it allowed and afforded me the opportunity that I wanted to have for my well-being, going to the gym, and for spending time with my family and supporting my daughter and her concert and all that stuff, right? So it looks different for different people. The key is that you're getting that balance that you need, and the important things in your personal life are still being addressed as important as the important stuff in your work. How that works for you, if it's turning it on at 8 and turning it off at 4 and then just having a clean break and put your work phone away, awesome, if that works for you. Sometimes it's splitting things up a little bit.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it. And we kind of came back to that piece about work how it works for you. You know what works for you and your life and just build around that. Which
is another reason why that weekly review is so awesome, because if you find yourself into a bit of a rut or you're falling behind on something or you're getting things done and you're accomplishing what you need to accomplish, but you don't feel like there's that synergy there, you can go back and look at previous weeks and say, okay, I see why it's working, but how come I'm not getting this other thing fulfilled? And try some different stuff out. But if you're not conscious of that and you're not taking the time to do it, then you're just in that whirlwind of just thinking it can't be any better. And it can be. but you just got to know what you got to work on, and you don't know that unless you're reviewing it. And it's a powerful tool, and I don't know why everybody, can't just get on board with it because to be honest with you, it is a life changer. Yeah. It really is. There's sometimes when I do the Take Back Your Life class in the room, there's a lot of stuff that's happening in that 8 or 9 hours for 30 to 40 people in the room at a time. So you can't customize stuff. So you're giving them, general categories and stuff like that. And when you talk about the weekly review, you really stress for them how important it is. And then you'll do the post-survey results about a month later, and you'll see how much progress they had on how they manage their emails and how they manage interruptions and all this stuff. And the weekly review, sometimes it's like they're just not getting it yet. And it takes that second kind of follow-up with them to really get them on board for that. Part of that's because they're getting a lot of information at once. And part of it is I think people struggle to give themselves permission to take that hour for personal development, so to speak,
right?
To really work on themselves.
That reflection.
But it's so immensely purposeful and beneficial if you do it, that you're going to win back so much time by doing that. And by not reworking stuff, doing things over, by having focus, by being laser focused on your goals and your projects, and make sure you're getting time for that kind of stuff, it is hugely valuable, which is why it's in my opinion, the most valuable tool that you can have.
I love it. So let's talk about Crawford Grey. Can you give us a quick reminder of what you guys do with Crawford Grey?
So Crawford Grey, we're a small business advocate here in Denver, Colorado market area. We help entrepreneurs, people that are starting small businesses, or people that have a small business that's already existing that's looking to take the next step for growth. We help them with free advisory services. So, it could be reviewing their business plan, trying to help them figure out how much money they really do need to start the business. Believe it or not, very rarely are people spot on with that. They think they need more than they do, or they think they need less than they do.
Yeah, they're buying a business and the broker's telling them they need less than they do. I'm like, no, I'm calculating double than those expenses.
Exactly. So, a place they can go where they can get some advice and get some guidance. And then the biggest benefit is that we connect them with our network. So when you're getting ready to open up a retail store, let's say, a shop of some kind, well, you're going to need merchant services for your credit cards. Okay, you're going to need a website developed and a strategy around SEO or whatever your marketing is going to be. You're going to need a CPA. You're going to need XYZ, business right? Lawyer. All this different stuff. So what we can do is say, here's a network of people that we've worked with, that we've connected with, that we trust and endorse. It saves them a lot of time because they don't have to be flipping through the yellow pages,
calling all the people.
Right? Going through, nobody has yellow pages anymore, but searching up online, you're getting a referral. And so that's beneficial to the business owner because they're getting somebody recommended. It's beneficial to my network because I'm referring them a new client. So everybody really pays off great with that.
Win-win.
And then in very rare cases, we will actually invest in them ourselves. So last year we helped over 85 business owners.
Wow.
We invested in 3. So, it just goes to show you 82% of them just got free advice and connected to people. 3 of them actually became clients of ours where we actually invested money in their business.
That's awesome. Yeah. Do you have any businesses in the works right now with Crawford?
We have one that's pending right now. It's kind of a unique one. Typically, we don't ask for equity at all in our clients. We want them to own their businesses, and we have very client-friendly terms for how we invest in them and how they pay us back. But this one's interesting because it's not about monthly revenue for them. He's got a patent on a technology, and it's all about just doing a proof of concept and then selling it.
Oh, wow.
So this is going to be a unique one for us because we're going in there without a percentage of revenue or a payback term. It's strictly a percentage of ownership, sell the company, and we'll make whatever out of it.
That's awesome.
So it's kind of unique for us. So that's kind of exciting. And then that's the only one that we have in the works right now for investing because as we invest in clients, we have to wait for them to pay us back to put the money back in the bank to invest in the next because it's just Kevin and I, my business partner. And we don't pay ourselves any money out of this business. So whatever money we get in there just builds up so we can invest in the next one. And, just one's all we can handle right now. But
one at a time.
I got, about 24 business owners and potential business owners that I'm working with right now just on the free advisory piece. I'm connecting with people and just having conversations with.
I love it.
Yeah, and for me, that's really fulfilling too, just because I love small business. My wife's a small business owner. I network with small business people because I just love it, entrepreneurial spirit. I'm an entrepreneur as well. But I think small business is key for our economy. I think that it's important for families. I think it's a way, if you really want to take the reins and you don't want to work in the corporate world, which there's nothing wrong with that. Nope. But if you don't want to work in the corporate world, go create something for yourself. You know, monetize it, make a business out of it. And I think that's huge. So I love to support that. And so just giving people advice and helping them with that the best we can.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So before I ask my last question, where is the easiest way, or what is the easiest way for people to find you?
That's a great question, because any given day I could be going 7 different directions. So probably the best way is connect with me on LinkedIn. That's the social media platform I use the most for business. Stephen D. Crawford is my profile.
I don't link it.
Or email me, StephenDCrawford@McGheePro.com. Awesome. My email response time is 24 hours. So if you catch me before I process email that afternoon, you might get a response right away. Right. But otherwise, it'll be the next day. But yeah, anybody that wants to reach out to me for any questions, happy to talk to anybody.
I love it. Awesome. So my final question for you today is, what are you currently reading?
I finally put myself in a position where I put myself on a hiatus from reading for a month.
Oh, wow.
Yep, I did that on purpose. I think you know that about me. I read a ton, and I read just about anything. I love novels. Michael Connelly's one of my favorites. Business books and so forth. Sally McGhee, our CEO, just put out an email the other day asking us to buy a certain book that she wants us to read prior to some development work we're going to be doing internally. So I bought the book, but I put it on my calendar to start reading it next month because I'm giving myself a break from it for 2 reasons. I tend to get consumed in the books. And while that's a good thing, it could be a bad thing as well, because just like anything else that we have that are distractions, you know, I told myself I was going to read for an hour. Well, I want to just read a little bit more because it's at a good part of the book. Yeah. And, you know, it's an hour past when I wanted to go to bed.
It's me. So every night my husband's like,
I get a little addicted to it. Yeah. But the book I'm going to be reading next is Measure What Matters Most. Okay. It's got some concepts in there that not only align with some of the stuff we do at McGhee Productivity Solutions, but also with one of my largest clients and one of the partners that we work with, which is Microsoft. So they're driving productivity through Teams is a program that we have for training around using Teams internally. And there's some workboard stuff inside of there that this book is tied really nicely to. Okay. Even though it has nothing to do with the technology, the concepts of it. So I'm looking forward to reading that one next.
That one sounds interesting.
Yeah, and that's a total productivity nerd type book, right? Totally different than reading a novel or a biography or something. So, like I said, I read just about anything. I'm a firm believer that, you know, the more you know, right?
Right, absolutely.
We need a little sound. Can you edit that in? But yeah, I'm just kind of addicted to reading and just trying to learn about stuff. That
question. I was curious as to what you're reading.
But yeah, for right now, I'm actually not actively reading anything. And
that's really good.
It's kind of like cold turkey for
I don't know if I could do
rehab.
That is. I know. It would have to be cold turkey for me, too. I read a lot. I actually just subscribed to Blinkist. Not sponsored yet. Hello, Blinkist. You can sponsor us. And they just do, like, the snippets of the books. And it's audio. So then I can, like, crank through a bunch of books and then decide if I actually want to read them.
That's exactly what I did. I did the same thing. I downloaded that app. I tried it a couple times. It actually got me to look at a couple different books that I would have never thought I would have looked at. But typically, I just get mine recommended all the time because all my friends know I'm a nerd. So,
right.
So I get emails all the time saying, here's a book you should read, here's a book you should read. So I put those in my SNA read folder, right? And then when it's time for me to get another book, I just go in there and pull one out.
And you're like, hey, what's next? Yep. I love it. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks again for having me.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yay. Hey y'all, thanks for listening. If you found this podcast to be inspiring, helpful, and entertaining, please like and subscribe. This helps us grow the community and reach more people. If you are interested in learning more about this episode's guest or accessing any of the books or other resources mentioned in this episode, be sure to check out the description box below. Until next time, be abundant.